questions today. We're here at the Health Liberty Rally, and we just want to know why you are here today.
I'm here because I'm opposed to State Bill 1478 that would remove philosophical vaccine exemption rights in Oklahoma.
Okay, and what are your concerns about this bill and about in general today?
Informed consent is a basic human right that every citizen has a right to refuse a medical treatment or procedure if they have concerns, safety concerns, or once they've learned the risks and benefits, if they choose not to have that. I don't think it's the government's place to force a medical treatment on anyone without giving them the right to refuse. There's no true informed consent. Also, each individual has their own genetic makeup, and we already know that vaccines are not safe for every person. We know that people have died and been seriously injured by vaccines, and so there's no one-size-fits-all approach to any medical treatment. These decisions need to be made between physicians and their patients, and I think it's a government overreach to have the government mandating medical treatments or procedures with no ability for there to be customizing that to unique and individual treatment plans for different people who may react differently. We know that there are people with genetic variations that make them more susceptible to vaccine injuries. However, there's no screening done to determine who might have a vaccine reaction. So I think there's many reasons why vaccine exemption rights are important. Also, the vaccine manufacturers don't have any liability, so if you're injured by the vaccines, you don't have any recourse. I mean, this is the only product on the market in the U.S. that has no liability for their product. I don't think people would want to buy a child safety car seat if they couldn't hold the manufacturer responsible if their child was killed or injured. I think this is the same situation. So those are some of the concerns that I have about removing the vaccine exemptions.
I'm Allison Ruggs with Oklahomans for Vaccine and Health Choice, and this is Liza Grieve. We're going to ask her some questions. What is the mission of Oklahomans for Vaccine and Health Choice?
Our mission is to preserve the personal and religious exemptions that Oklahomans have held dear for decades. We also fight dearly for informed consent and protection for those students and parents who choose to not vaccinate, fully vaccinate, or delay.
And today at the rally, why are we fighting against the removal of personal exemptions? What makes personal exemptions so special?
Personal exemptions and religious exemptions are the only exemptions that are chosen by parents. Medical exemptions are the doctor's recommendation. Personal and religious exemptions are the only type of exemption that parents get to choose a medical choice for their child.
And we actually have legislation in place that protects that already, right?
Right. We have a part of vaccine law is currently we have two exemptions, the personal and the religious exemption. The legislation that's currently being proposed is, there's two bills. SB 830 seeks to remove both of those exemptions, the religious and the personal, and then we have another bill, SB 1478, that seeks to remove the personal exemption.
Recently, the CDC whistleblower documents were released regarding the corruption and evidence fraud at the CDC. How does that impact what our group is doing here today?
Well, it brings a lot of questions for parents. If the agency that is supposed to regulate the uptake and the research of our vaccines is not being transparent with parents, how can we then trust them fully on making the schedules and recommending that our vaccines are fully safe? It brings a lot of questions, and that's part of the reason why we want to preserve the exemptions, because we are solely responsible for that decision. We cannot count on a government agency to make that choice for us.
Okay. Should this law pass, then personal exemptions would be obliterated, and children that have to get a vaccine because they don't have an exemption, if they get an injury or if they die as a result of that vaccine, who is held liable for their death or injury?
Currently, the only people that are liable are the parents. There is a vaccine court that parents can apply for, but it is very difficult. It is a government program, and there are very few people that actually participate or get accepted to that program. So you cannot sue a pharmaceutical company, you cannot sue the doctor or the administrator of the vaccine. You, as a parent, are responsible to pay for the long-term care for your child, or if your child dies, the max benefit you would get if you were to prove it in court would be $250,000. That's max.
So there's also been 2 more vaccines added to the schedule. Do you think that the CDC will try to add any more vaccines to the schedule in the future?
Absolutely. History has shown that every year they are increasing either a dose or adding a new vaccine. So since 1986, the schedule has tripled and we're now at 72 doses. There's no doubt that it will continue to increase, and there's no doubt with over 250 vaccines in production that those have to go somewhere, and they will probably go to our children.
Where there is risk, there must be choice.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Wow, look at you guys. Look at all the beautiful kids in your shirts. Thank you for coming, taking time out of your busy lives to be the voice of your vaccine choice. Welcome. Especially those of you who traveled from outside of the metro. Raise your hand if you traveled from outside of the metro. Woo! My name is Liza Creevy, and I'm one of the directors for Oklahomans for Health Choice and Vaccine Choice, Political Action Committee. We started a little less than a year ago as a small Facebook group in response to Senator Yin's bill, SB 830. This bill seeks to remove our religious and personal exemptions that we have had as part of vaccine law for decades. Our group of concerned parents, many of you who are health professionals, came together quickly on Facebook and Twitter and organized and questioned, where is our informed consent if we can't refuse? Raise your hand today, please, if you're a health professional. We'd like to give you a round of applause. Thank you for standing up for choice in an area that you can be especially scrutinized and judged for questioning. Thank you. Raise your hand if you are not a health professional, but you should be, because you have done so much research on this topic that you know more than most average Americans and even some health professionals. Raise your hand. Let's give all of these hands for the sleepless nights and endless research without pay so that we could know the truth and make the best decisions for our children. Let me hear you out there if you love your children and your grandchildren more than the government. We have grown from a group of a couple of hundred fierce mama bears. Let me hear you, mama bears. To over 2,500 Facebook members that include dads. Let me hear you, dads. Grandparents, let me hear you. And every profession that you can imagine. Even some legislators. We formed a pact because we could not believe that taking away our choice would even be an option in the area of vaccines. How many of you know that vaccines are one of the most layered and controversial health and parenting topics around? Nobody wants to talk about vaccines unless you just really want to open up a can of worms, right? But you do, we do. We are the voice for vaccine choice. We tell folks about the ever-increasing schedule. How many are we at now? 72. 72 doses was just released on February the 1st. They increased it again by 3 doses. When we share, eyes are open, and even if we do not agree on whether it's best to fully vaccinate or to delay or to opt out or to not vaccinate at all, we can almost always agree that it's a parent's right to choose. is serving his second term as a state representative for Oklahoma House District 81, which includes Edmond and North Oklahoma City. His legislative accomplishments include numerous measures to improve government accountability and efficiency, including the Oklahoma Regional Jail Act. During his first term, in 2010 through 2012, the governor signed 13 of his bills into law. Representative Raw is currently an assistant majority floor leader, and we welcome him today. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being parents and grandparents that care about the health and well-being of your children. Thank you for being advocates, not just today, but I know many of you have been working for months to educate and to advocate on behalf of your children and children throughout the state of Oklahoma. And I know you did not pick this fight. This fight came to you when there was a proposal to take away your choice, to take away your rights. And I'm here today and proud to announce that I'm introducing House Bill 3016 today, which is the Parental Rights Immunization. Parents are the primary teacher, period. And it's the same when it comes to the well-being of your children. Parents are the primary health care provider, period. House Bill 3016 will require that every physician or health care provider that is providing a vaccine obtain your informed consent, because we know that information leads to knowledge, and knowledge is power. And that's what we're asking about. We're asking that parents and legal representatives be provided the information, the benefits, and the risk, the fact that you cannot sue a vaccine maker, that you have to go through a government program if there is an issue. This is information that people need to know, and we're simply asking that our health care provider obtain informed consent so that you as parents and grandparents and legal representatives can make the best decision for you and your family and your children. I'm happy. We're going to need your help. I'm proud to announce that Senator Nathan Dahm is going to speak. He will serve as the Senate author for this bill. We're going to get this assigned to the committee of Representative Mike Ritz, and with your help and with the help of others that are providing the best health care to the children in our state, we will make sure that we provide informed consent when it comes to the vaccine process. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Nathan is one of the few homeschool graduates. We have any homeschoolers here? That's my government class, by the way. And he serves on many committees, but a few of them are General Government Committee and the Finance Committee. Let's welcome Senator Nathan Dahm.
showing your support. I'm honored to be the Senate author on Representative Graw's bill for parental choice and to have your rights protected.
Yes, all right.
That's one thing that happens too often in this building. People are willing to trample on rights, and I think part of it is because people don't really understand what rights are. The Declaration of Independence clearly says that we have certain unalienable rights that are granted to us not by government, but by God. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't specifically mention parental rights, but that is something that must be protected. You as parents are the first line of defense for your children, not the government. The Declaration of Independence also says that these rights are self-evident, these truths are self-evident, and I wish that were the case. Unfortunately, in this building, sometimes rights are not so self-evident. So it's encouraging to see groups like you, people like you, coming out and willing to help people in this legislature, on both the House and the Senate side, realize that this is a right that you are entitled to, that the government cannot and should not try to take away like is being done today. So I encourage you all, after this, go and talk to your state senator, talk to your state house member, talk to the other members of the legislature. Let them know that this is a right that you are willing to fight for. You do not realize the power that you have as individuals and as a group coming forward saying, we will fight to protect our rights. I'm honored to stand with you.
Representative and Dr. Mike Ritz is a board-certified family practice physician and surgeon. He has delivered over 2,000 babies, and he represents District 80, Broken Arrow, parts of Bixby, and Coweta. He is also an adjunct professor. He's a past president of the Tulsa County Osteopathic Medical Society, and he is a cancer survivor for over 37 years. He serves as the chair of the Public Health Committee in the House. Please welcome Representative and Dr. Mike Ritz.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Ritz. I'm from Broken Arrow. I represent District 80. I had the distinct privilege to have a real life before I came to the legislature. I'm a family physician. One of the things that I also brag about is I've delivered over 2,000 babies, and most of those parents and families that we've watched for the past 40 years grow up, we've never ever told them they had to have a vaccine. We tried to make it very clear that the vaccines do have some protection, but the decision was up to the parents. I would be glad to advise them, and I even have patients now that are grandparents and great-grandparents that are all over the country, and they'll call me and ask me what I think about certain things in healthcare, especially the vaccines. I currently am the chairman of the Public Health Committee here at the Oklahoma House and ranking member of Public Safety. The bill that Representative Graw and Senator Don will be introducing this week will be heard in our committee. Most likely, we missed a deadline today, but most likely next Wednesday. So hopefully it'll be transferred out of the Rules Committee, a simple formality here today on the floor, and transferred over to the Public Health Committee. House bill, as Representative Graw mentioned, 3016. So that's the bill that will reinforce. That will reinforce the parental rights for the vaccines. Now, on another point, if Senator Yen's bill is asked to be heard in the Public Health Committee, as of the latest poll of the committee, it's all thumbs down. It will not be heard in the Public Health Committee. Now, we never get our hopes up too much because there's several committees in the legislature that bill could be heard in. One thing that is important is for you to remember this fight for your rights does not end after this legislative session. We must continue to be involved at the grassroots level. We must understand what's going on behind the scenes in legislation that is out there sometimes to take away rights. Innocently, sometimes people try to think that they're doing the right thing, but it's up to you with your emails, your contacts, with your state representatives and your state senators to let them know that that's not favorable in your eyes. So today, again, I thank you very much. There's any questions as this process moves forward? I know I've had a lot of emails and contacts from my citizens and constituents back in Broken Arrow. I'll be glad to visit with anyone, but I think that the process moves forward. This bill will get passed through the Public Health Committee, and hopefully it'll be heard on the House. It'll be up to you on the House floor to be heard possibly as early in the next 2 weeks. Thank you, God bless.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ritz. Okay, guys, remember this is a rally. We're supposed to make some noise. Are you ready? You're louder than that. I gotta hear you way over there. Come on, louder. Are you ready? Okay, let's practice. When I say where there's a risk, you say there must be a choice. Are you ready? Where there is a risk? 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 You guys are the best. Okay. Okay, let's talk about something real quick before we keep going here. How many of you were able to participate in our email campaign? We did that because we called the shots, right? Who calls the shots? Parents call the shots, okay? Are you ready? We're going to let them hear that. Okay, are we ready? Who calls the shots? Who calls the shots? Who calls the shots? Kids, who calls the shots? Who calls the shots? So the first question we asked our legislators during this campaign was, why can't we sue pharmaceutical companies if our child sustains a vaccine injury or dies as a result of the vaccine? And we say, where there's a risk, we informed them since 1986, when liability was removed from drug companies, that the vaccine schedule has tripled and over $3.1 billion has been paid out to victims. And we say, where there's a risk, we also told them that the government program set up to take care of the families is a failed program. This so-called court has no judge, no jury, no public hearing, no legal precedent, and this secret court forces parents to jump through hoops during a devastating time. And we say, where there's a risk, this is not the intent of the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. We must repeal this act and restore liability to parents and the vaccine injured so that pharmaceutical companies have an incentive to make safer vaccines and to invest more into testing instead of selling and mandating their products. Can't hear you. Who calls the shots? Where there is a risk? In week 2, we challenged the idea that vaccine injury is rare. We informed our legislators that in a National Institute of Health study, that the study showed that 90 to 99% of the injuries and deaths go unreported to VAERS, which is the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, which means that the true patterns of vaccine injury are hard to predict. And we say, where there is a risk, this suggests that not only are doctors failing to report adverse events, but the prevailing attitude is that adverse events simply do not occur. Without a willingness to recognize and report adverse events, theirs cannot be relied upon to accurately reflect the adverse events that do occur. We ask our legislators, are you concerned that the CDC and the FDA rely on this data to determine adverse events following vaccination? And we say, where there's a risk, how many of you have a vaccine-injured child or injured yourself? Please raise your hand. Look at all these hands. We also have this vaccine injury book here that has over 70 stories of other families from our group that couldn't be here. And if each of you, your story, your family, represents that, quote, 1 in a million, as Senator Yen has suggested, then our group must be a group of about 70 million, huh? We say, where there's a risk, who calls the shots? Who calls the shots? Who calls the shots? And in week 3, we also ask our legislators, do parents know what ingredients are in vaccines? Were you guys told what ingredients were in the vaccines you got? Are we getting informed consent? I'd like to ask a couple of our board members, Marla Robb and Misty Lorick, to come up to illustrate this, that informed consent is not happening. Give them a hand, please. And these are also their beautiful daughters, and if you girls would go ahead and open up your vaccine inserts and show the crowd, lift it up high in the sky. Okay, these are the vaccine inserts that come with the vaccines, and as you can see front and back, we've got a lot of data, we've got research, we've got ingredients, we've got so-called safety studies or lack thereof. And then, as you can see, their moms are holding up moms. This is what we get in the doctor's office. And these sheets have no ingredients. These sheets have no study information. Is this what you guys got? We say where there is a risk, we told our legislators in our emails that we know more about what is in our food than what is in our vaccines. We are told by our doctors not to introduce foods to our baby, only do it one at a time. But yet we are introducing a plethora of chemicals and toxic ingredients day one. And we say where there's a risk, vaccines are a medical procedure that require full informed consent and the ability to refuse, especially when our children are getting combinations never tested in totality or in long-term studies. We say where there is a risk, who calls the shots? Who calls the shots? Our children are given aluminum, a known neurotoxin, in doses higher than the Food Drug Administration states is acceptable for even adults. Where there is a risk, were you told that the cells in the vaccines, some of which are animal cells, are grown from aborted fetal cells? Were you told that? No! Nor do we know the ramifications of this, much less the moral and religious implications for those of us who are pro-life. We say where there's a risk, who calls the shots? Who calls the shots? Who calls the shots? In week 4, we asked how well does high vaccination compliance ensure that herd immunity from an outbreak. We cited examples of outbreaks that have occurred all over our nation and the world that were 99% were vaccinated. Even according to the CDC, the Disneyland measles outbreak, we've all heard that one, right? Was likely caused as a result of a foreign visitor and not by a child whose parents chose to opt out of the MMR vaccine. The strain was found to be linked to outbreaks in the Philippines and not an exempted child. And we say where there's a risk, we also noted that even the CDC states that adult coverage of vaccines remains low. And SB 830 and SB 1478 forces vaccines on our public and private school children. But what about all the adults? And even the homeschoolers? Are they not part of the herd? Do you all see where this is going? Does it look like forced vaccinations for all? Yes. It does to me. And we say where there's a risk, there must be a choice. Who calls the shots? Parents call the shots. Can't hear you. Who calls the shots? Parents call the shots. Who calls the shots? Parents call the shots. We should be looking at vaccine effectiveness instead of just herd immunity, and allow parents to weigh the benefits and the risk. And speaking of risk, in our final week of our email campaign, we asked our legislators, what is a parent to do when the government agency that is responsible for the uptake of vaccines and research is being called into question for falsifying data in vaccine studies? We say where there is a risk, there must be a choice. I want to ask my son Michael to come up. And ladies, if you would, start folding your vaccine inserts. Give Michael a hand. This is my other You all know where I'm going with this? Michael's big brother had an adverse reaction to the MMR, and neither of them can get a medical exemption. And Michael was born in 2000. When were you born, Michael? 2004, the exact year when this was all occurring. In 2014, Dr. William W. Thompson, PhD, senior scientist with the CDC, stepped forward and admitted that in his 2004 paper that he and his co-authors in the study, which was used repeatedly, by the way, to deny the MMR autism connection, was a fraud. And we say, where there is a risk, there must be a choice. Let's try that again. Sorry. Where there is a risk, there must be a choice. In 2015, Dr. William Thompson turned over his omitted data to Congressman Bill Posey. And Posey testified before Congress, quoting Dr. Thompson as saying, the co-authors scheduled a meeting to destroy documents related to this study. The remaining 4 co-authors all met and brought a big garbage can into the meeting room and went through all the hard copy documents, and we put what we thought would discard them in a huge garbage can. We say where there is a risk, there must be a choice. So ladies, let's do what the CDC did. Please throw that information, those scientific studies that inform consent in the trash. The CDC threw data away showing that there was a 340% risk of autism in African American boys related to the MMR vaccine. In this study, it was discovered and then hidden due to the pressure from senior officials. The CDC researchers then recalculated the results by removing a population to get results the results that they desired. And we say where there is a risk, there must be a choice. So folks, as long as my child has been on the earth, the CDC has known that the MMR, if given before 36 months of age, that there is a significant risk of autism, specifically in African American boys. Raise your hand if that information had been made public. Would you have made different choices? Exactly. Do you think parents deserve to know the truth? Yes! Do you really? Yes! We say where there's a risk. There must be a cause. Who calls the shots? Parents call the shots. Does this make you wonder what else we don't know? Yes! The government wants to remove our ability to choose, but yet we're not getting full truth and transparency. We also have a national bill that seeks to vaccinate all children by 2016. What do you all say? No! Who calls the shots? Parents call the shots! Who calls the shots? Parents call the shots! Okay, I want you to keep it up while we're getting ready for our next part. Just keep it going. Parents call the shots. Who calls the shots? Parents call the shots!
Yes, my name is Bob Donahue. I'm another citizen, just like everybody in this room. I've got a day job. I've got 3 kids I love with a passion. And yes, I vaccinated. After learning what I've learned from doing this research, I do regret that. All right, I do regret that. And it's, but at this point, I'm going to carry on, move forward with it. What I'd like you to know is, I'm a volunteer member of the John Birch Society. And as such, I've been active on various issues with the John Birch Society, empowering, enabling, educating people on the issues of the day, and truly effective methods for dealing with this and having success at our state capitol and even national. And that's why 6 months ago, when I saw a presentation given by Liza at Oklahoma Conservative PAC on the issue of vaccines, there were people that came up to me afterwards, other members of the John Birch Society, and said, Bob, we need to help this group. And we did. Starting work with the leadership team and actually helped to organize this rally, helped to work with our legislators to not only stop Dr. Yen's bill, Senator Yen's bill, but actually create and promote a different one for parental consent. That whole idea, the informed consent legislation, is a product of getting together and working together as citizens to make this happen. So what I'd like to ask you to do is, as later on I'm going to introduce how we're going to form teams and visit legislators. That's what we're here to do today, right? We've elected these folks, we've elected these people to represent us, and of course they need to know how it is we feel. They need to hear what we have to say, right? When we form teams, you can have the benefit of experienced members who have done this before. Actually go down and visit legislators. They're going to introduce you to them. And then they're going to get out of the way and let you speak to them. Their whole job is to get you through the system. That's what they do. Please stay. Trust them. Follow them. Be a part of that group. Learn well. Because we're going to need to come back and do it again to follow this informed consent legislation all the way through. Y'all with me on this? Now, during the week, we're going to have presentations, 2 in Tulsa area and 2 in the Oklahoma City area, Tuesday and Thursday evening. I would like to introduce you to the John Birch Society. Several of us are prepared to do this, and we'd like you to consider membership. We want to show you the benefits, and I'll tell you why it's important. You know Dr. Yen's bill? You heard it stop this year, right? That doesn't mean he won't come back in 5 years. See, that's the challenge. How do we stay together? How do we protect all of our liberties and not just one? How do we ensure that all this bad stuff gets stopped? That's our greater challenge. We need to protect all of our liberties. So come on out this week. You're going to get the details. There's handouts on a table over there with a sign that says local activism, and you'll be given some flyers as you form teams and walk around and visit legislators. Come on out, hear the cause. By the way, I am also a member. Dare I say, am I entitled to say this? Am I entitled to say this? You guys okay with this? I'm proud to say the membership into the Vaccine and Health Pact. All right, I'm the first one to donate. I'm the first member. We'll take it. Because they're my children, grandchildren too. At this point, I'd like to introduce the leader, the president of another PAC, Oklahoma Conservative PAC.
Bob said everything that I really wanted to say. It's about liberty, and there's a lot of liberty organizations out there, and the Oklahoma Conservative PAC specifically tries to support and elect candidates and legislators who want to promote freedom, expand freedom while reducing government and supporting Judeo-Christian values. And so what you're doing here today is so critically important. And the one point that I want to make is that if there are leaders in these halls who say they will protect your rights when it comes to health choice, if you want them to consistently be on your side, they have to be the kind of principled person that will consistently support all of your God-given rights, not just this one. And so that's what we're looking for. Candidates come to us, we interview them, we learn their worldview, and we figure out how much do they really love liberty. Are they really going to stand up for me and protect my life, my liberty, and my property? That's what government should be about. And so when this fight is over, we hope that you'll join with us and continue to protect all of our rights. Our organization meets every Wednesday at lunch at Mama Roja. We've been meeting every Wednesday for 25 years now. I think we've only missed 3 days. So come and check us out, spend some time with us. We have a table too. We'd love to give you our mission statement and get to know you better. Thank you.